Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Carp. I'm Steve Carpenter, Sports Information Director at Hutchinson Community College, and your host for this podcast. Since we started these podcasts about a month ago, we've talked to members of the Blue Dragon Athletic Department and NJCAA Conference as to how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected them and what they do. Today, we're taking it national as we speak with Dr. Christopher Parker, President and Chief Executive Officer of the NJCAA. Dr. Parker, thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
Well, I mentioned that I've spoken to Josh Gooch, our athletic director, all of our coaches, about how this pandemic has affected them. I've spoken to Carl Heinrich, the commissioner of the NJCAA Conference. He oversees all 21 schools. You have to oversee 512 institutions, plus just what's going on at the national office. So let's just get right into it. When this thing really started to break hot and heavy in early to mid-March, how did COVID-19 affect you and what is being done at the NJCAA?
It was the one thing that was constant was change, and things changed every 5 minutes. You know, people say, well, it changed every 5 days. No, it literally changed every 5 minutes, and evaluating our winter championships, where we go with spring championships, and now, you know, how we get back to the normal, how we get back to school, how we plan for fall and next winter. It's just different every day, and there's no way to predict. I keep telling everybody my crystal ball is broken, so we have to literally adjust every few minutes by what the reports say from the feds to adapting to different state governments. Of course, we have 45 states to encompass, so it's very challenging. But I will tell you that our leadership from our office and from all around the country has been superb in helping us navigate and evaluate, you know, the necessities of what we look at all these different scenarios and really adjust as quickly and as possible. We're also trying to be as proactive as possible, and how can you be so proactive in a time of uncertainty, and that's a difficult challenge.
And not having a playbook to go by, there's just no precedent for what we all have gone through the last couple of months. Trying to make those decisions without anything to go by, how much even more difficult is that for you and your staff?
That's probably the most challenging thing, because even from past experiences, you learn from past experiences, you adjust. But like I said, having like you said, no playbook, no expectation, no any way to navigate things and move in that direction has been the most challenging part. However, I can give kudos, like I said, to our staff and to people all around the country, because everybody's ideas and opinions matter, and we've been able to take all of those and put them into the shuffle to ultimately make decisions that affect an entire country, not just one part of the country, but an entire country. And that's been the critical part of this, is just listening and being as, you know, open and forthright as possible to hear all these opinions and find people. So, you know, leaders step out in moments of chaos, and I can tell you that a lot of people have stepped up in leadership roles from our office and around the country in leadership roles the last few weeks.
Just in a general sense, Dr. Parker, how bad is COVID-19 in the Charlotte, North Carolina area? I know people are starting to get antsy, and I think I saw somewhere where there's been some pretty big protests in terms of reopening the country, around the country. I think Charlotte was, I saw one of the bigger ones that they had. So really, from where you guys are at, how bad is COVID-19, just in general terms?
It's kind of, I guess it would be in that moderate range based off of the cases. Majority of the cases in this part of the country, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, a lot are isolated to nursing home facilities. They get in there, and you would see on the news where there's 78 new cases today. And then they would take it another step and say, well, 75 of those were in 2 nursing homes. So it seems like very small pockets of isolation with it. There have been protests in Raleigh at the state capitol. There have been some protests in Charlotte. I know in Virginia there's been protests in Richmond, in South Carolina. That's been one of the first states to open. We're literally a hop across the border to South Carolina. We pretty much serve most of South Carolina, too, in the greater Charlotte area. And they were one of the first ones to reopen. So just kind of now it's to wait and see how does South Carolina, Georgia, and some of those states that have already kind of basically opened themselves up, how does that reaction and things go from everybody else? So it's certainly going to be interesting to see that and understand what happens as it spreads across the country from a reopening standpoint.
So from a pretty safe estimate, how many Zoom calls have you done with different types of meetings that you've had to have since this thing started?
Too many. It's like I said, it's that double-edged sword of the good, the bad, the indifferent, because I've been able to connect with so many more people. And again, we implemented Zoom in the NJCAA about a year ago and started getting ourselves accustomed to Zoom, so we'd already had a little practice with it. And now, like I said, it's one call after another, and it's people that, even though you're only seeing them by a computer, it's people that I don't really routinely get to see, or engage with, and really taking that time. Last week I was on 2 region meetings. This week I'll be on another region meeting, and again with people all over some of that virtual face-to-face time, so that everybody has that aspect.
You bet. Well, here in Kansas, we're just beginning phase 1 of our reopening. I am guessing by the number of calls you've already talked about having, the discussion of reopening the NJCAA and getting back to normal is well underway. So is there any preliminary plans you can share with us at this point?
Yeah, right now, we stand willing and able to put on national championships in whatever capacity is necessary. We're basically evaluating things from now till mid-June to kind of see how states progress, what the country progresses, and then make some appropriate plans. Does that mean that championships may be moved up a couple weeks or moved back a couple weeks? Absolutely. We haven't made any of those decisions and won't make those until later in the summer. But staying nimble and staying updated and educated on all the different things that are taking place is our number one priority.
You bet. Well, beyond COVID-19, you have brought great leadership to the NJCAA. What are your goals for the NJCAA going forward? We've accomplished a number of those goals thus far. We created the NJCAA Foundation, and we've got a huge campaign underway. We've increased our staff and been able to do a lot of new initiatives that showcase our association, that showcases our member colleges and our student athletes, and that's what we're here for. The recent thing we started was a Division I, II, and III council, and that's really so that we can have some guiding lines, some guiding principles for all those divisions to help us navigate different areas of those divisions, of what people need and what they expect. And we're disappointed we had to cancel the first ever NJCAA Hall of Fame event and Foundation Awards, and I want to congratulate you on being the first ever NJCAA SID of the year. We implemented a couple of those awards this year, and congratulations to you on that outstanding awards. But there's a lot of things to come, and I've got a great staff and great people around me that are going to help make those happen. I appreciate that, Dr. Parker. I was very honored to receive that award. You've got a long history in the NJCAA, not just in the national office, but you talk about your path through the NJCAA that brought you to your current position.
Yeah, for me, really got started in Virginia. My home in Virginia, and was coaching baseball at VCU in Richmond, in the state capital there, and got a chance to start the first ever NJCAA program in the Virginia Community College system, and that was very rewarding and honoring, and got involved on a regional level, was an assistant region director and a region director for 7 or 8 years during that time, but overall spent 10 years at a member college, doing all kinds of different roles, from vice president, executive director, dean, athletic director, coach, before going to a university for a couple of years and finding. The thing about this position is it's just so rewarding because you get to do so many things, meet so many people, provide some type of insight, whether people agree, disagree, approve, disapprove, whatever it may be. We make the best decisions from a national basis as truly and honestly as we can. It's not a one-size-shoe-fits-all scenario, but that's our goal, and that's the most rewarding part of this job. So that experience before helped shape my understanding and views of all the different aspects of the NJCAA. People ask me, well, you were only at this. Well, no, my school had all three divisions. We had Division 1, 2, and 3. Like, how do you do that? Well, soccer was only offered Division 1 in our region, where we played baseball and basketball Division 2. We played volleyball and cross country and others at Division 3. So I actually truly got to see, the different aspects of that, and being in a region with 3 states made it very diverse as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that time and value that experience to get me where I am today.
Now you got a big time baseball background yourself. Let's chat about that. I'm an old baseball guy myself, so you got yourself a pretty unique baseball background.
Yeah, I actually out there in Kansas, I played in the NBC World Series a couple times. Out there in Kansas and Wichita, that was a highlight. Played against the Chinese Taipei one year, and that was a great honor. Had a lot of success in high school and in the college field. Coaching, I knew all along that I wasn't going to be a pro baseball player, but I knew that I was going to stay within the game in some aspects. So like I said, going into college coaching, summer league coaching, the Coastal Plains League, the Clark Griffith League, many of those leagues are, important and have value that diversifies your portfolio as far as being a successful coach. And then, I was an associate scout for the Braves and the Red Sox for a number of years. Like I said, just kind of stay involved with the game. But, I use baseball as truly the game of life and can compare about anything in life to baseball. And my staff probably gets annoyed by hearing how many analogies I use for baseball with what we're doing, but that's the best way I know to relate to things. And I love the game of baseball, and I miss it dearly right now, like everybody does. But we'll continue to wait for baseball to start up, and hopefully we'll see it soon.
You bet. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. Please tell us about your family a little bit. Family life, having a family and the support system is always important in jobs that we hold. So I'd be remiss if we didn't ask about your family.
Yeah, my wife and I have been going on 14 years. Our daughter's 11. They're truly a rock behind me. That when I took this job, they knew it was going to be a challenge or time consuming. I think my first year in, I spent like 180 some nights in a hotel room out of the 365 days in a year, and I missed them dearly, but it was what was necessary in my eyes to accomplish what we needed to accomplish in that first year to move the organization forward after all the great things it's done for years and years. But yeah, they truly are the backbone that helps me keep going. My mother and father, luckily, are both still living and doing well, and they support me as well as my sister, who just had her first child this past year, December of 2019, and I can tell you if he's not a heck of a baseball player, I don't know where they'll come from, because both my sister and her husband were standout college stellar performers, and hopefully the little man whose first name is Parker will do very well on the diamond as he grows up.
Oh, if he's anything like my granddaughter Parker, they're gonna own the world. So, Dr. Parker, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. I know you're awfully busy and trying to get this thing ranked back up, and hopefully we'll be going again very strong very soon. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
That was Dr. Christopher Parker, President and Chief Executive Officer of the NJCAA, and that will wrap up another episode of Conversations with Carp. We'll talk to you again soon. So long, everybody.